Hello, hello, here we are again, coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha on 44 different platforms around the world. And my name is Age, and my co-host is still on sabbatical, and we will miss her because this is one of the shows that I think she will miss not being on. And of course, Broadcast Team Alpha is that one show that appreciate people stepping out of the box and listening to us. And well, we are also transmitting on Conscious Awakening Network, and because of them, we are also on Roku, 3 TV stations, and a bunch of other places, and on a horde of social media places. So we're going to have some fun here. And also, you can get in touch with Nori and I through broadcastteamalpha.com. There is a place you can send us a message. I'll get it, and we will get back to you. If you have a phenomenal story that needs to get out there, get in touch. There just might be a place for you here on Broadcast Team Alpha, going live with us. And Nori and I also created a spiritual think tank where we do amazing things. It seems like we're creating out of seemingly nothing sometimes, but it works. If you want to be part of something that is bigger than yourself, send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And I will send you some information and also a link so you can come and have a look and see if you like to become part of the family. And now I'm going to introduce the guest to you. This is a very special occasion for me because this man, we speak the same language. We've done some of the same things. And this gentleman we are interviewing tonight is Barry Strom. And some people like to surf the internet while they're listening to the show. So here is his website, barrystrom.com. That is Barry, STROHM.com. And you will also find him on YouTube under the same name, Barry Strom. He's got a bunch of videos there, and he's got some doozies that I think you need to go have a look at. Now, Barry is a spiritual communicator. But he came from a background of business management and civil engineering. And how much more nuts and bolts can you get than that? But he seems to that now he still remembers the nuts and bolts, but he is much more than that. He stepped out of the box, and probably so far out of the box by now that he doesn't even know where it is anymore. And later in life, he started finding out that he could communicate what we call dead folks. And he also take pictures of dead folks. But of course, they're not dead. They are probably more alive than we are. And many of them, though, don't know that they are no longer physical. So it becomes a conundrum for them. And he is able to help some of those. And he has written 10 books. The last book is Modern Messages of Archangels. And he is on 2 radio shows, 2 podcasts, and he is also on the Para-X network and Spiritual Speaks and Voice America with some of his shows. And for the next 55 minutes or so, he is here with us explaining what to expect when we drop the body and what the people that are already there are telling us. This could get interesting. So stay with us. We are going to go way deep on this one. So welcome to the show, Barry.
Hey, after that introduction, I thought you were talking about the wrong person. So,
No, no, no. Yeah, that's probably true for some of us. We don't think of ourselves in that way because to us all these things are so natural. Well, it's you.
well, there was a time it wasn't natural, but
Yeah,
it certainly is now.
yeah. I wanna wonder. I always wonder when I see someone like you doing something extra, phenomenal like this. Was there an incident that led you to it? A revelation, or was it a slow progression into doing what you do?
No, it was a very, very slow progression.
Hmm.
I didn't even believe in ghosts till I was about 60 years old. So it's I'm 81 now, so that seems like a long
Yeah.
time ago. A lot of things have
Mm.
happened. But no, I was busy crushing stone, building things,
Yeah.
have trucking companies. I was actually CEO of a stone and concrete company for about 5 years. So talking to ghosts was one of the last things that I ever thought about. We bought a antique gallery in Pennsylvania near Gettysburg, and the people that worked for me, they were telling me about all these crazy things that were happening. I thought they were just a little bit high on marijuana or whatever they were smoking and drinking. So the time came, I had to spend some time in the building myself. I found out the hard way that they really were not. We had a portal in the basement. You could put an infrared camera on the wall in the basement and watch the ghosts come in and out through the wall. It was absolutely phenomenal building. We would have haunted items in the antique gallery. We actually had items that would talk to you. We had
Mm.
we had an oil painting, and we found out the guy that was about 1880, 1890 painting. And we found out the guy's picture's name was Joseph.
Mm.
Once we learned to communicate, whenever you'd walk by, he'd tell you how much he disliked the music we were playing in the antique gallery. So he was not happy being for sale. But one day I'm up at the front counter and a woman comes up and she says, I got an item back here that I want to buy. It's talking to me. I thought, okay. So I walk back and it's Joseph. And I said, what if this, people talk about antiques talking to him all the time. So I said, well, what's he saying? She said, well, I'm a psychic and he's telling me that he hates it here because of the damn music that we're playing. And would you please buy me so I can go home with you? So I want to buy him and make him happy. So the woman buys this $1,500 oil painting because he wanted to go home with her. So, I mean, it was just events like this just kept piling up in the store. We had
Wow.
photographs of apparitions in the store. Um, we had a woman in a mirror that we took a picture of. I sent you one of the photos of her.
Mm.
That she had the attachment to that mirror, and we sold we sold the mirror one day. About 6 months later, the guy comes back in, and I said, "Well, how's the mirror doing?" And he said, "Man, we've had some really bad luck." And I went, "Uh-oh." Sometimes an attachment cannot do what you want it to do. So he says, "Our house burned down." I went,
Oof.
"Oh man." Uh, but he says, "You know what?" He said the firemen came, and when they came, this woman asked the firemen to carry the mirror out of the building. And they thought they put the fire out and left. And then when they came, it started up again and they couldn't get there in time and the building came down. But the only piece of furniture that we saved out of the building was that mirror that we bought here. She had appeared and told the fireman to get the mirror out of the house. So,
Wow.
oh yeah, I tried to buy the mirror back, but he wouldn't sell it. But it
Well,
was crazy. It was crazy being in this building. I mean, it was just continuous. They
well,
did.
yeah, there are old stories about mirrors actually can act as a portal.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were 8 miles from Gettysburg with this place. So I started going out on the battlefield and taking pictures. And I was got some amazing ghost pictures. And I wound up publishing over 200 of them in my first book. It was called Haunting and History of the Battle of Gettysburg. But I'd go out at night all by myself and take these pictures. And, I mean, it was crazy. If you want to see spirits, the battlefield is Gettysburg is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people died there, and many of them, they are probably still walking around and don't know that they dropped the body.
Oh, absolutely. We actually channeled with a Confederate colonel that didn't know he had died. He was in the exact same spot he had been 150 years earlier when we talked to him. And he still had his unit of men with him. He was on Lee's retreat route, and he was still protecting the rear of Lee's column. And I mean, when I talked to him, and I'm a real nut about Gettysburg, so I know quite a bit about it. I started asking him questions. He answered every question technically perfect on the events that had taken place at that spot. He knew that his commander had been captured, and he had absolutely no idea that he was dead. When we were sitting around it, we were on Lee's retreat route, and it was the day after the battle when Lee was actually on this route. And he put his healthy soldiers on the road where we were, and then he put the wounded, and the wagon train of the wounded was 14 miles long, taking his wounded out. That's how terrible the whole thing was. But the spirit comes in, and we were sitting there, my wife and some friends, and it was 4th of July, so we had shorts. And the first thing he said is, "What is this manner of dress? Why are you dressed like this?" I'm going, "Well, it's 4th of July." And he had no idea. He said, "I must be dreaming." And I said, "Well, who are you?" And he gave me his name, Colonel such and such. I said, "Where'd you fight?" He said, "Willoughby Run." "Who was your commander?" "General Asher." "What happened to him?" "He was captured." "Who took over?" "I helped to." I mean, he's going down the line answering these physical questions. And there was no doubt this guy was at that spot of the battlefield. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I'm guarding the rear of the column." He gives me the details about the other column with the wounded in it, who's in charge. I mean, and it was a lesser known general. But he's nailing all these names. And I'm going, we knew we wanted to try to talk with a Confederate. So we flew a Confederate battle flag on the flagpole at the house where we were. So I said, "Well, do you have your men with you?" He said, "Yes, they're down in the woods. They're guarding." I said, "Would you bring them up so that we could talk to them?" He said, "Can you guarantee my safety?" I said, "Absolutely. We're flying your flag. We're Southerners." So he says, "I will bring them up." All of a sudden, here comes this whole column of soldiers coming, and the cavalry. They're riding up, and they get off their horses, and they're standing there in a line. All these guys had no idea that they had passed. They were all in this channel of the unknowing dead. So I said, "Well," and then all of a sudden, since it's the 4th of July and the fireworks start, and he goes, "Oh my God, it's Union artillery. You promised us we'd be safe." I said, "Trust me, the artillery's not going to get to you here." But it was the fireworks that he was hearing. I actually have a picture that we took of them where one of the soldiers is looking at the Confederate flag. So, I mean, but all these guys had absolutely no idea that they had passed.
Were you able to communicate to them that you're not really supposed to be here because you dropped your body a little while ago and you're supposed to go home? Were you able to communicate at all?
No, they did not want to hear that. They were on a mission to protect the rear of Lee's column. and they were going to do it. No, but that was one of the wilder things we've done out there.
In that case, they're probably still there protecting the rear.
Yeah, yeah. On the 4th of July, you can bet that they're still there protecting the rear of that cult.
Man, oh man. What do you think it would take in order to break through to them? They may have to see some evidence of something.
I think what happens, excuse me, there's no time on the other side. So, 50 years, it's nothing.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
No, but what I think happens is the angels help move them on. That humans, they've got their minds so made up. They want to still stay with their friends that they fought with. They still have this strong dislike of Union soldiers. But I think a time comes that the angels actually help them move on. And they'll listen to the angels, but we've tried multiple times. And generally, when you go back, they're still there.
Now, you sent me a picture where there's a picture of a soldier, or it was someone being carried and lifted away by an angel.
Yes. Yeah, I took that picture one night on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And I think that was the process. I think they give them so much time, and then they say, "Hey, dude, you're headed home."
Yeah. Now, if the others were able to see that, maybe the light will, click on.
Yeah, I mean, in my prior life, I fought at Gettysburg, which is pretty bizarre. But the spirits actually told me there was a place on the battlefield, always had all this activity. And I would walk down this wooded path, and there was ghosts everywhere, and I'd take their picture, and it was one of the most active places. One night I'm on the battlefield, and I start down the path, and in my head I hear, don't go. I turn around, go 50 feet, and a big tree falls right on the path where I would have been. So on that particular night, this voice saves my life. I'm thinking it's a guardian angel.
Yeah.
So I asked, we're channeling with my guide. I said, who saved my life? And they said, it's the boys. I go, what do you mean the boys? She says, it was the boys that you fought with. I said, what do you mean the boys I fought with? So she says, you fought in that spot. She said, you were a captain. And she gives me my name in that life and everything. So I go out, take my ghost box along with me. And I took some people along. And I walked up to the spot, and I said, guys, do you recognize me? And over the ghost box, everyone hears, yes, sir, Captain. And I commence to have a conversation with the soldiers that I fought with. And I asked them, I said, why are you guys still here? And the answer comes back, because those damn Yankees are still here. So they're not going to leave till the Yankees leave or someone gets in between. Because I told them, I said, you can see me. I'm out of, I'm in a different body. Go, it's time for you to move on. But no. Then they said to me, Captain, put your head down. They're still shooting at us. So, I mean, I tried, but they're very happy out there. And I promised them every time I come back, I go back and visit with them, which I do when I get back in Pennsylvania.
Man, oh man. This gets been wilder and wilder, and we still got about 40 minutes left of wild stuff. I got another question for you. You wrote 2 books about aliens, and do you have any personal interaction with extraterrestrial intelligence or beings?
Well, I saw one. We were in our apartment in Pennsylvania, and we were channeling. Okay, just let me lay a little foundation. All souls are the same. The alien souls are ex-human souls, generally. We've only been here 200,000 years on this planet. These other planets have been around for billions of years. So our souls had to be somewhere. So we lived as aliens in prior lives.
Yeah.
You can believe me or not, but that's a fact. I know some of my prior lives, so I can verify. But they wanted me to speak about the alien presence. So we channeled an alien spirit named Mu. When he came to us, he said, I'll be with you for 2 to 3 years. You need to write 2 books. I'll give you the information for the books, and then I'm going to leave, which is exactly the way it took place. So I'm writing these alien books at the time. We're both asleep in our apartment, and I wake up, I sit up in bed, and I look, and I can see this big form standing by the side of the bed. Now, when my wife is a proven abductee, so she's been abducted by aliens.
Oh.
But anyway, I look over and I see this, and it's a reptilian, short nose. And I think I clear my head, and I am clearly awake now, believe me. And I'm looked at him, and he looks at me and smiles and knocks me out just like that. I get up in the morning, and I'm thinking they abducted her again. So I said, Connie, you may have gone for a trip last night. And I tell her what I saw, but I do not mention the fact that it smiled at me. I figure that's really pushing it. So we had friends that helped teach us how to channel, and they used channeling boards. And they lived in Salt Lake City, and they live very close to where we are now. So I got in touch with them, and I said, are you available on Skype tonight? Because I've got to ask you a question. So I tell them. So we get on Skype that night, and I said, would you ask for Moo to come in? So they say, yes, he's here with us in Salt Lake. And I said, Moo, did I see an alien last night? The answer comes back from Salt Lake City. Yes. And did you see him smile at you? And they knew, no one knew that alien had smiled. So there's the absolute proof. I had a real alien in our bedroom.
Yep. That's personal proof. You betcha. Yep.
They had no idea. They had no clue what question I was going to ask, because I wanted them totally in the dark. But Moo answered it for us.
Yeah. And that alien gave you the information for both the books?
No, that wasn't Moo.
Oh, okay.
Moo was a 7-foot blue alien.
Okay.
He was from a planet called Robe that we never heard of. It's on the far wing of the galaxy. Now we have been channeling aliens again for some of the different shows that we've been doing. So they sent us another alien from Robe, and his name, he said, just call me Fred, because you'll never be able to pronounce my name, because it's a vocabulary that we never heard of. So
yeah.
So we do have the ability to channel Fred anytime we want, if you have alien questions.
Man.
I mean, all your listeners are saying, who is this guy? He ought to be in an asylum.
Yeah. Now, this is more like your paranormal event. Do you have more events like this, or is it that one?
For aliens?
Yeah, alien or extraterrestrial.
No, actually, I have another proven event. I was out on the battlefield one night, and when I was photographing, I would have 3 different cameras that I was using, because I was always trying to get the same image on multiple cameras to prove it. So one night I'm out, and I snap a picture, and here's this thing that looks like this blue light bar alongside my car. So I started to fire all 3 cameras, and I'm getting the image on all 3 cameras, and I can see them on the backs, on the digital backs. So I took 40 frames of this thing. It's in different sizes, and it followed me for about a mile down the road, because there was nobody out there that night, and I seeing this thing, and I'm going, now this one I can't explain. So I started driving and taking pictures, and this thing's following me down the road. So I get back, and I have over 40 frames of it. I got some really good pictures. So I asked the guides, and I'm sorry, Moo was still with us then. So I asked Moo, I said, what was that? And he said, oh, that was an alien drone that was following you. They wanted to know what you were doing. So I do have 40 frames of a real honest to God alien drone.
Well, how big was it?
It was different sizes.
Oh.
There were some of them, it was small. And I have one where it looked like it was about 15 feet long. So it was changing size and everything as it was following.
Yeah. No. When we get back, we have a couple of minutes left here. When we get back after the break at the bottom of the hour, I want to talk a little bit about your channeling.
Okay.
And you also have communication with Nikola Tesla, and that, folks, is going to be something that you want to hear, especially if you are an inventor.
We're going to talk with Nikola. We've talked to him multiple times before.
Yeah. Now so when you live your daily life right now, walking around the house, do you see things in your presence? Are they there with you once in a while?
Yeah, sometimes. Like when I'm trying to figure out who I want to have on one of the shows, they'll come to me. We were going to channel Mahatma Gandhi on one of the shows. And I was sitting there writing the questions on the computer for him, and I was aware that he was standing there. So my wife was sitting on one of the couches near my desk, and I turned around to talk to her, and I started talking in an Indian accent. And I can't do accents. And I went, did I just do that? And I looked over, and Gandhi was standing there laughing. And when I had him on the show, we did the entire show with me having an Indian accent.
Oh, wow.
For an hour, I spoke like he wanted me to speak. It was crazy.
Oh, wow. Hey, did you hear that, Mark? Our producer here at the bottom of the screen, he is in India, and he has an Indian accent that I'm not so sure if he want to get rid of it, but he can definitely hear that he is from India.
Yeah, but I mean, when you listen to that show, you will hear that I did that entire show with this accent. He answered like 50 questions for us, and every answer I did with this accent.
Now let's reverse that thinking. Now you were interviewing him, so he were answering, but he was talking through you. Exactly. So you adapted his accent while you were, and his thinking while you were doing it.
Yes, absolutely. I did an interview with Billy the Kid, and I talked with this Western accent when we did his whole interview. And it depends how they want to answer. But
that's interesting.
You'll hear on a lot of the videos, you'll hear my voice change when we start to talk with these different spirits.
Yeah. And
when I'm doing it, I don't remember a lot of what I'm saying. Because it's them that's speaking through me.
Yeah.
And when you talk to lower level spirits, there's 7 realms in heaven. And we speak to spirits from, say, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th realm. Their energies are very weak, and I have a hard time channeling with them. But when you hit the archangels or one of the Holy Spirits, one of the disciples, you'll hear just how strong my voice gets when I work with them.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of energies.
Yes, that is all there is. It's all energy. And we are now at the bottom of the hour. So for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Barry Strom. He is a spirit communicator and also a channeler and a healer. And in the second half, we're going to talk about that healing. And there is some stories that you need to hear, because this is going to get interesting when you find out who he's been able to channel, like Nikola Tesla and another man called Yahshua Beth Halachme, which was, you know him as Jesus, but that was his Hebrew name. So hang in there, folks. We're going to get to it. All right, Barry. I'm all ears, because I have a good friend in Louisville, Kentucky. He's an inventor, and he would love to hear you talk about Nikola Tesla.
He needs to go on and pull up the videos that I have. I think I got 3 or 4 different videos where he's on. And I have videos where he interacts. I have him on with Einstein, I think. We didn't have him on that last show, but there's like 3 videos up on my YouTube channel. I've got 530 videos.
Okay.
So there's, but if he just goes in and puts Tesla in the search, let him listen to those 3 videos. It'll blow him away.
Excellent. Yeah, we're gonna do that, because Nikola Tesla is one of my heroes. He, oh man, if we had listened to him 120 years ago, we would have been traveling among the stars right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And now, when you channel, is it coming through you so you have full conscious understanding of what's going on around you, or do you kind of lose consciousness in a way, and then just the flow is by itself?
You'll see a very light trance take place.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see me kind of set, and then when I speak, it'll be the spirit.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, you told me also that you channeled Jesus. And for some of you out there, okay, this is hard to wrap your head around, but there are people out there running around the world saying there's no evidence that he even existed because there's nothing written about him. Oh, yes, there is. There's surviving Roman records, Pliny the Elder, and there's several others that wrote about him. There is a written record. He was a real man that lived. And he dropped the body at one point, which means you just said a little while ago, it's all energy. So his energy does not go away. And quantum mechanics is telling us that everything is connected. So we are connected with his energy, and we can draw on it. And that is what you're doing. You are communicating with the energy that we know as Jesus.
Yes, there is a spark of God in all of us.
Yeah.
Every soul has a spark of God. You may not recognize it, but it's there.
Yeah. When you channeled him, what kind of an experience was that? Was it like channeling everybody else, or was that somewhat energetically different?
No. The first Holy Spirit that we ever channeled with was Mary.
Mm.
We had some friends in, or we had some guests, and she was looking for some closure, and Mary came in and gave it to her. The first time her energy came into that room, we just had tears running down our face.
Mm.
It's an energy that I can't describe. I'd never felt it before.
It's called love.
Yes. She is an incredible soul. We channel her many times. But the first time Jesus came in, you could feel this energy in the room. And we had spirits imitate him, try to tell us that we were speaking to Jesus, that we're faked.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of skepticism, because I'm thinking, why would Jesus ever want to come in and speak to me? I mean, it makes no sense. Of course, most of my life doesn't make sense anymore. But here he is. So, he gave us this message. I mean, I was so screwed up, I can't even remember what our first conversation with him was like, but he knew I had doubts. So he comes in and he says, I know you are doubting. I can understand that. So I'm going to give you the power to heal, to prove to you that you're really speaking with me. And he gives me this special prayer. And he said, this is your prayer of healing. And he gives me a name. And he says, go heal that person. I said, where's the person? Never heard of it. He said, oh, you'll find out. So I was speaking at a convention in Salt Lake, and turns out that the woman in charge of the convention was the name that he gave me. So I walked up to her. I said, you have physical problems. Would you mind if I said a prayer to try to heal you? Never talked to the woman before. That's our first conversation. She says, oh, no, go ahead, please. So I said the healing prayer for her, and she had a heart problem. This is like 10 years ago now. And she just passed a couple months ago. So she made it for 10 years. So I'll take a success on that. Yeah. But there was another woman sitting there, and she's telling her friend these horrible migraine that she has chronic migraines that she can hardly function. In my head, I hear, go heal her. All right. So I walk over, said, you care if I say a prayer and try to heal your migraine? Absolutely. I say the prayer. Within an hour, her migraine was gone, and she hasn't had one for 8 years. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, through the years, I've said the prayer for people in stage 4 cancers. Probably healed 30 to 40 people with this prayer. But the point I really want to make here is it's not me doing it. That prayer is simply directing the power and energy of God. And if it's possible to heal that person, he'll do it. If the healing goes against the person's life plan, he won't do it. So quite often I'll hear a yes or a no whether to say the prayer for a person.
It's for their higher good, I suppose.
Yes. Yes. If the person's doing wonderful things, when we were back in Pennsylvania, we knew some very important people back there. They ran a huge business, and she had come to me, and he had been with me, and he understood the abilities, and he got diagnosed with a very bad throat cancer. So when they left the diagnosis, they came straight into our gallery so that he wanted me to know it first. So I said the prayer for him, and God spoke with him. And he said, you're going to be healed, but it's going to be a difficult process. So he knew. That was about 6 years ago, and he's clean of his cancer now. But he had a very difficult time of it. But right now he's in full remission. So, I mean, that's another instance.
Yeah. When you do these healings, does it have to be in person, or can you do it over the internet, like Zoom?
No, I can do it mentally. I had a friend call me, a friend that works with me we only try to help people with this. We don't charge. We do. Yeah. I mean, all the things we do is free because that's part of our mission. But I have a good friend that works with us in New York. He called me and he said, my father-in-law has just been diagnosed with a throat cancer, a very bad one, and they're giving him a month to live. He said, would you please say the prayer for him? And his father-in-law helps him with a lot of the good things that he does back there. So I was in Utah, where I am now, and I said the prayer for him. The next morning, they do tests, and they cannot find the cancer. He went home the next morning. So You may doubt,
Yeah,
but I've just seen it too many times. And
yeah.
I'm not making this up. I mean, I don't
No,
lie to people. Whatever. When you look at my videos, that's raw feed. I don't change it. If I make a mistake, so be it. You hear what I do as it takes place.
well, and this is what doctors call spontaneous remission,
Mm-hmm.
because
Well,
they have to have a word for it,
yeah, I
but they
guess.
can't explain it.
Well, I told you the story a little bit before we started about what happened to me.
Yes, please do, because that was really blew me away.
Well, we were back in our apartment. It was about 5 years ago, and we were at the apartment, and I started having a heart attack. I had had a quad bypass 10 years before that, so I was pretty familiar with the symptoms. And I go into the hospital, and they do the test, and they immediately say, "We got to get you into surgery. Your heart's not getting oxygen. Your artery is clogged. You have got fairly decent damage on the one side of your heart." And they actually show me the damage on the monitor. He says, "This is why we have to go in right away." So I'm laying there waiting to go into surgery, and I'm laying there with my eyes closed, and I see things differently, as many people do. With my eyes closed, I have this mental image of this figure, a small figure in the distance, and I can see it has wings and it's flying forward, comes up right in front of my face, and I see it's an angel, full-bodied angel, flopping its wings and flying. Comes up, flies off. So I told my wife, I said, "I got the sign. We're good. This is going to be okay. Don't worry." They go in, they do the whole procedure, check everything. When I come to, I said, "Okay, guys, how many stents do we do?" And the doctor says, "None. We couldn't find any heart damage." He said, "Your heart is absolutely healthy. There's nothing wrong with you." I said, "What do you mean there's nothing wrong? You showed me all this." He said, "I cannot explain this to you. All I can tell you is we did everything we could do to check it. We came in from different angles with the catheter. We did everything. You have no heart damage." So I go back. I'm in recovery, and I'm laying there with my eyes closed again. In my head, I hear just as clear as can be, "If I can have you heal others, I can heal you as well." God had created 100% medical miracle when that angel flew up in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it is.
Yeah.
The powers of God are absolute. I can't even imagine not believing. Of course, I've seen an awful lot more than most people have.
Yeah.
But anyone listening out there, I can tell you, he's real.
Yeah.
And if you ask him for help, you'll get it.
Well, that is something that a lot of people should take notice of, especially the ones that is sitting on the fence, because now we're here and we're shaking the pole. You got to fall off on one of the sides.
Yes.
And if you listen,
I wouldn't be here if he hadn't done a miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah. And it sounds really far out there when you hear things like this, but go to his website and watch, or YouTube, better yet, watch the videos. You're going to see things. I see things on his videos that we don't have the time to talk about it all, but it really needs to be talked about, and you need to see it. So go watch that and think about it, because all of this is possible. I have seen things too in the mastermind that we're doing. I know that when we put our minds together, we may think that it is only our mastermind that is doing things, but we may have unseen influences getting in the game with us and helping us to do things, just like he is talking about.
It's an amazing world.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Now, what about other people? How could someone else achieve the connection to be able to do things like you do? Is
Well,
it by asking, or?
I was sent back to do it. I didn't
Okay.
realize it, but I can just my ability is actually beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
I can simply ask for almost any spirit, and it will appear. I mean, I can speak with animals. I can really do most anything,
Mm-hmm.
and it's far beyond my comprehension. But it's not beyond the comprehension of my guides.
Yeah.
We all have these spirit guides, and they want me to do this. The whole reason that he performed that miracle was that was sent back to write these books. The books are simply compilations of the channelings. I mean, the last book we brought out, we channeled 20 different archangels. Now, people don't even realize how many archangels there are, but
Yeah.
these are just simply channeled messages, and they're wonderful. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
you can the one book is Messages of God. We have 60 different messages that he gave us. The one podcast that we do is called A Weekly Message from Jesus. We've been doing it for 3 years, but I actually channel Jesus on Wednesday mornings, and people can listen to a new message every week. And
Yeah.
the book is simply a compilation of 60 of his messages. It's a great devotional. You can read it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's contemporary because he wants to correct many of the things that have been distorted about his teachings through the years.
Mm-hmm.
The next to last book I did was Messages of the Prophet Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
because Muhammad wants to correct a lot of the things that have been distorted about his teachings.
Yep.
And all of these religious masters have been sent back by God. All of the different religions have been created by God. Jesus comes for Christianity with the Jewish people. Muhammad comes with people of the Middle East, with the tribal communities, because it has to be a different type of religion for these people. Christianity existed, and he actually got along well with Christians.
Yeah.
But the tribes of the Middle East were simply different. They hadn't been prepared like the Jewish people had been. So
Mm-hmm.
he sends Buddha back to have teachings to a group of people. All of these different world religions, they all basically come down to the same fact. Every one of them speaks of the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah.
And that is the basic teachings of all religions. Many
Yep.
of them have been distorted through the years because people thought that the teachings really couldn't be that simple. But I mean, keep in mind, Jesus taught to the uneducated, fishermen, carpenters.
Yep.
He spoke so simply because he had to speak simply to be understood.
Yep.
Didn't speak in parables and complicated ways. He simply said, live a good life,
Mm-hmm.
and you will be with me in heaven. That's a simple message of the times. That message
Mm-hmm.
has been complicated. And if you take time to listen to my videos or listen to his messages or read the book, you'll see how amazingly simple his teachings are. He takes all
Absolutely.
and just comes back to basics.
Yeah. And speaking of the books, the best place to get them is probably on Amazon, or should they just go to your website? I see them on your website too. Well,
Yeah, if you want an autographed copy, which who knows whether you do or not,
There you go.
you get the website's the only place you can obviously get that. But everything's
Okay.
up on Amazon. You can get
Yeah.
them all through Amazon or come into the website.
There you go. Now, when it comes to reincarnation, let me just back up for about 2 minutes here.
Mhm.
Reincarnation was considered an absolute fact before the year 325, when Emperor Constantine got involved and kind of created this thing that we now call the Bible. But before that, they knew it, and then it was taken out. But
Of course.
does everybody reincarnate back, or is
Well,
it just part of us that come back?
no, it's your soul. It's your soul that has everlasting life.
Mhm.
Your body, the bodies that they give you, wherever you decide to reincarnate, that's just a temporary holder.
Yeah.
That's the body enables you to learn lessons. To advance in the realms, you have to learn lessons.
Mhm.
You have to help others. You have to learn to do the things that God would do. God's on the 7th level, and his disciples are up there with him, and there's 6 levels below.
Yeah.
So throughout all these lives, you learn these lessons, and there are so many lessons to learn. You have to, I mean, you can't even speak of it. We've
Yeah.
lived millions of lives, millions. I mean, people can't comprehend that. I have trouble with it myself. But
Yeah.
we've been on these different planets learning lessons. The difficult lessons are on Earth.
Do we have when we are standing around later on and we decide on our next life situation, it doesn't have to be on Earth, does it?
No, no, absolutely
You,
not.
you
It can
could
be on
go,
another planet. But Earth is a young planet, very, very difficult. If you need to learn, if you really want to advance more rapidly, you have to learn difficult lessons. There are young planets. There's other places that are just as difficult as ours, but you'll choose to reincarnate on one of these difficult planets. If you're in an upper level and you're just kind of cruising, go to one of the advanced planets where the lessons have been learned.
yeah.
Mu told us that on his planet Robe, Jesus or God had reincarnated on his planet, not in the form of Jesus, but in the form of the 7-foot blue alien, and they
Right.
referred to him as the wise one. So he's gone to he has taken time through the millennia to reincarnate on all the different planets that have learned the lessons.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's an incredibly complicated story. There's so, and the more that I learn, the more I realize how little I know.
I know.
It's just
Yeah.
it's like opening continuous doors,
Mhm.
and you'll all of a sudden you'll say, man, there's a new lesson.
Yeah.
And that's what we're sent back to learn.
I got one more thing on my mind that I know people would love to hear about, and that is that it isn't just people or spirits or higher consciousness or souls that reincarnate. Animals do too once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Tell me that story about your cat. I just love to hear it.
We had a cat named Bodie. Loved him. Used to travel with us. Was just a wonderful cat. We lost him about 15 years ago. So I'm learning to channel. I'm starting to get it put together. And all of a sudden, I find out that I can talk with other people's animals. We'd had people could come in the store and say, well, can you talk to Fido? And yeah, we'd talk to him. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, well, why can't I talk to Bodie? So one night I said, Bodie, would you come through for us tonight? And we hear, hello, hello, hello. I thought you'd never ask. So Bodie's talking to me from the other side. So he was a wonderful cat. So we thought we'd love to have him come back. But at the time, had a small apartment because we were stuck at the antique gallery. And he tells me, but he had lived in our home here in Park City. And he says, I'll come back to you, but only when I have a proper home. Okay. So we're trapped back east. So one night I talked back and forth with him. So I said, buddy, would you just please come back to us now? We'd love to have you. So he says, okay, I will return to you. I will be a black kitten. I will return in 13 months and I will find you. Great. 13 months is up. We're working with another psychic. And I asked the guide, I said, is Bodhi back yet? The guide says, is Bodhi this black cat to which you refer? And the psychic I'm working with goes, oh my God, I think I saw Bodhi. Her father was buried down in Baltimore in a cemetery. And while she was down putting flowers on his grave, the people that ran the cemetery asked if they wanted cats. They had ferals there. She walks over and this little black kitten comes up on the porch and stares at her and goes back under the porch. She says, that was Bodhi. I said, oh my God, it was. He said, and this is within 1 week of when he said he was coming back. And this is 75 miles away from us and he's finding us. We drive down the next day. Bodhi comes out, stares at my wife, and goes back under the porch and won't come with us. So, but there was this other little tabby cat that was running around. So we're going back up the road without our cat. And both of us said, he wanted us to bring that other cat along for company. Go back down the next morning. Within 5 minutes, the cat's out in the carrier. We got the tabby as well, and we're headed up the road. So Bodhi was back. This little black kitten has got the exact personality he had in prior. Is Connie's cat. He's reincarnated with her multiple times in multiple lifetimes. I mean, I'll take we have time to go take us a little further. One night she says to me, I think that the cat was with me before. And we had the channeling board out. So I said, Bodhi, were you ever with Connie before you were with us as a cat? On the channeling board, it spells out starlight. So I said, Connie, I said, what in the hell is starlight? And she said, that was the name of my pony when I was a kid. This animal soul had reincarnated as a pony and now 2 times as a cat with her in this life.
Wow. Man, oh man.
and the tabby cat turns out to have been my daughter's dog that died 15 years ago.
Mm.
So you have a family of animals on the other side, just as you have your soul family.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of stay together as families.
Yes. Yeah, but this soul has come back 3 times for her now in this life.
That's phenomenal. Well, I see that we are within seconds of being done with the show, but I have one question.
Okay.
That I ask ever so often, and I don't tell the guest what the question is because I want it to be spontaneous. And I'm going to ask you the same thing. If you could speak to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
Very simple. I would tell them that they need to have faith that God exists, that faith lays the foundation for all things. And I would tell them that they have to show love to others and learn to coexist. If they don't, human evolution is going to come to an end.
Yeah. From what you have heard from the others that you have channeled, we are going into strange times now, but we are going to be okay. We are coming through this. Do you agree?
Yes, he has sent many people back. He is not going to give up on humans. He tells us all the time, there will never be an end days. I would never destroy my humans. I've worked too hard for them.
Yeah.
But if humans, through their free will, decide to wipe life from the earth, I will not stop them. But I will do everything in my that we can do without interfering with free will to assure that humans can continue their evolution.
Yeah. I think that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because free will has to be upfront.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he says, I've had other civilizations fail. Yeah. Because they couldn't they couldn't follow my words with their free will.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you very much, Barry, for being with us for this hour. This was quite an experience.
Yeah, so, you ought to be in my shoes.
Yeah. And do you think I can talk you back into coming back sometime?
Anytime you want, just let me know.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I would sure love to have you back because there's so much more to talk about.
Yes, and you and I are on the same path.
Yes. Yes, we are. Thank you very much, Barry. And for those of you out there that need to see his page, and there's barrystrom.com, and he got his books there, and also on Amazon you'll find 10 books there, so you need to go have a look at them. And also on YouTube, go to Barry Strom and watch some of the videos like I did, and you are going to like it. So thank you very much, Barry.
Thank you. It was an honor.